All right, so we're just out here with Solo this morning. We're taking him for his morning potty walk, and we're gonna teach him about the walk behind. So we've worked on our heel, worked on our heel command, but now we're gonna start working on the walk behind. So we're gonna work on using our spatial pressure paired with the e-collar to keep him at a good distance behind us. We're gonna keep a good buffer of space between myself and him, and you're gonna see how that buffer of space keeps him lower arousal and keeps him following me instead of pushing that heel and engaging with the environment. So I'm gonna go ahead and give him our walking command, our heel command, and we're gonna move along, and I'm gonna start using my spatial pressure paired with the e-collar to keep him behind me. So I'm gonna turn towards him, I'm gonna mark with a no, turn towards him, and correct on the e-collar while stepping into his space with the goal of moving him back away from me. And you can see he's in a sit, so we're starting successfully here, so I can already be a good distance away from him where my buffer is going to be. So as soon as I start walking, I'm going to use that correction, that spatial pressure and correction, to put him behind me. Heel. No. And we want a nice buffer of space back here. He can slowly start to close that gap up to a couple feet, but I don't want his nose touching my back leg. I don't want him pushing into my space. No. So you see he stops and sits there. The next one, we might just bump into him a little bit to get him to actually move back away from us. We might also bump our e-collar level up a touch. No. Turning and stepping in towards him. And you see how I have a nice big large space here. If he gets up, sit. If he gets up too close beside me here, I'm gonna end up T-boning him. No, sit. If I try to turn into him. So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure we have him behind us. Heel. So he's slowing down behind us when we slow down, speeding up when we speed up. No, heel. I'm not creeping too far into that space of ours. It's right about there. It's too close, so I'm going to turn and correct. No. I'll bump him back a tiny bit there. Just use our knee to give him a little bit of a push backwards there. Teach him what that spatial pressure will equal if he does not yield to it. We're going to add a little bit of physical correction in there too, a little bit of physical body contact. And that's the whole point of spatial pressure, is for the dog to move away before the physical contact. But dogs like him, they're a little bit dense with that sometimes, and they like to just stand there, and they don't exactly know how to use that spatial pressure, how to yield to it, I should say. And so we have to teach them sometimes. They figure it out very quickly, though, as you can see. Good. Anyway, this is kind of how we're teaching the walk behind with him. You can, of course, use different methods and tools. We don't mind using like prong collars and stuff for this. Hello. We don't mind using prong collars and stuff for this, for correction. Squirt bottles can be a great form of correction for getting that dog to keep a nice space behind you by just adding a little bit of a squirt bottle correction to keep the dog back a good distance, in the same way that we're using the e-collar. Pet corrector is also very effective for this stuff. Just really, you can get creative with it, teaching your dog this walk behind, but it's really one of the big goals here for an excitable dog and a pushy dog like like Solo here. We want to make sure that he's not pushing ahead of us. We want to make sure he understands that we are the ones leading this walk, and that him in this position behind us, again, is going to lower that arousal. Using spatial pressure, again, lowers arousal. Spatial pressure will effectively lower arousal. And so we want to make sure we're using that concept and applying it to dogs like Solo here, who are either reactive, pushy, pulling on that walk, overly engaged with the environment and lacking engagement with their handler. Just really almost anything in general, we will apply this walk behind concept to, and it's something that we like to try to keep the owners consistent with. So anyway, this is the walk behind. This is what it looks like. This is how our dog should be walking. No. Good. No. Correction there for marking. So he said no, corrected, turned it up, and corrected a couple times till he stopped and kept moving with me. I don't want him marking on these walks. Again, this is an important factor here for us, right? We give the dog release commands to go potty. We give them release commands to go sniff and run around. But they're not doing that on their own time, on our time. They're not doing that on their own terms, I should say. So, if I'm walking and my dog smells a spot where another dog peed, I don't want him marking there. that's a sign again that he's just going to be more engaged with the other dog. Again, the scent of another dog in this case, but the sight of another dog then too is also going to steal his engagement from me and take him away from his command. So we're correcting that stuff. Good job, Solo. Anyway, that's what our walk looks like. We're going to get back to the house here in just a minute. So hope you enjoyed this video. Good job, Solo.